Welcome to the Stair Builders and Manufacturers Association Legends podcast series. Today's guest is Brad Rippel.
Hello, everyone. We're here with another episode of SMA Legends, and I'm here with Brad and David, and I'll let them introduce themselves. My name is Jeff Pitcher. I'm with CP Adhesives, and we're looking forward to another interesting episode. David?
Hi, I'm David Ryder. I'm coming from Oak Point, Newcomerstown, Ohio, and I'm looking forward to getting to know Brad a little better here.
Yep. Good morning. And I'm Brad Rippel. I'm with Heartland Stairways, actually as an independent subcontractor, sales marketing, but happy to be here. And I'm not only humbled, but I'm honored to have been asked to participate in this podcast. I think I might be a kind of a one-of-a-kind interviewee here for this group, not being a stair builder per se. So, but I'm looking forward to it.
Interesting. Well, we'll jump right in and just ask you for some basics. And I guess the first question is, how long have you been doing this?
Yeah, interesting question. This is actually my 36th year being directly involved in the stairway and stair parts business. Actually, my third career. I started out as an elementary school teacher with a degree in elementary education, and then went back to school later and got a second degree in vocational administration. And in between those two degrees, I took over my family business, a light construction remodeling company, for 13 years. And then at the end of my stint with the vocational school, after I got my degree and certificate to become an administrator, I was told by the superintendent that I'm going to stay right where he has me in charge of the home building project because it was going so well. And as long as he was superintendent, I wasn't going to move. So that's what really led me into the stair industry, being told no. And actually, that was the second time in my life I got a no, this isn't going to work kind of answer. So we do what we do through motivational happenstances. And my motivation was somebody said, no, you are not going to be a school administrator. And I just spent 2 years of my life getting that second degree and thought, okay, maybe it's just time to move on. First time, let me back up, house for parent teachers, and my mother, God rest her, male teacher. What courses should Brad take to get him prepared for a college? And Mrs. Rippel, Brad's not really college material. Said, so I would strongly recommend that he just take a general course study and maybe a vocational thing. That was the only smart thing he said. So I kind of took offense to that. Long story short, graduated from Kent State, cum laude. Yeah, and then I ended up getting the second degree, which then made me making more money than this elementary school. He later became a principal. So if Mr. Gilding's out there, I did it, buddy. So, so that's how I got involved in stairs. I applied for a position with L.J. Smith. So that's where I cut my teeth 36 years ago. And it was a management that hired me for my background in building trades and then primarily for my education as a teacher, because they hired me to train the trainer for their wholesale salespeople. And the rest became history.
That's great. That's great. You mentioned LJ. I'm just kind of curious, who would you say has been maybe the greatest positive influence in you as a stair builder?
I have to say, because they gave me and I mean, it was a new position for them. They are kind of guy, and they kind of went out on a limb with me. Well, I knew of Dwayne Hicks, who was the owner, and I always called him Butch Hicks, and of course Bernie Booth, and it just left L.J. Smith. So it was a new start for everybody. And so I was most influenced by Butch Hicks, who gave me a clean slate and kind of an open road to travel down. He said, I want you to make this company better in the industry. We need to find out more about our competition, and you figure out a way that we can sell more product. So that kind of set me off and took the ball in with it, and I loved it. So in addition to Butch Hicks, there was Dan, who was the vice president of sales, who was my supervisor under Butch then. And Dan also was very substantial in getting me going. And then from there, I became active in the SMA on behalf of LJ Smith at a very early start time, because LJ Smith was one of the beginning forces to put the SMA together on behalf of the industry. These guys all piled in a bunch of money. So I got to meet guys like, in addition to Butch and Dan, I got to meet David Wynn, who was with Kaufman at the time, Dave Cooper, the code rep, and then ultimately a whole bunch of people after that between then and now. But I'm happy to say I'm directly involved now with Roy Hostetler and Nealon Shetler here at Heartland Stairways. So I've had a lot of influences in my stair career.
It sounds like. So, kind of piling onto that, what would you say has been your biggest challenge?
Definitely starting anew, basically a new occupation. My biggest challenge was to gain acceptance by the masters of the trade that were involved in all this, the stair shops and the stairway manufacturing aspect, company end of it. And then going out meeting with customers. Customers didn't really know where I came from. I had to hit the ground running and pretend like I knew what I was talking about. But I made it my job to grasp as much knowledge as early on as I could, represent anything, A, and B, so that I didn't sound like to customers who were going to be dealing with me. So once I got past being accepted as a newbie in the industry, and probably the acceptance factor came in most with the other people at LJ Smith, because I was in a national position. I wasn't in the office a lot, but I had to interact with everybody there. And I might be in 1 week, on the road for 3 weeks. I did a lot of Sunday night to Friday afternoon travel. But I still had to gain the acceptance of the people that I worked with and the people I worked for. So that was the biggest challenge. And through that, I learned to become a good communicator. And I learned the power of how you deal with people. And that's a two-way door. And I don't want to, I guess I'm getting to another part of my presentation. I'll wait for the questions. Go ahead.
Oh, no, that's great. That's great. So what would you say, obviously that is a big hurdle, getting acceptance within an industry. It's a third career as well. I mean, that's a lot to tackle. What would you say is your greatest achievement beyond that?
Well, the one achievement that I'm probably most proud of, again, after being told no a couple of times, that's my motivator. And then it became my job to prove that person wrong. But one of my greatest achievements along that don't tell me no part is that, and I love the man to death, David Cooper, who was the code rep, and I don't think he was the executive director at the time. But I told Dave at a meeting one day that, this is going to become my new target market. And he looked at me and kind of, what's going to become your new target market? Said, I'm going to sell to other SMA members who need the services that we provide here at Heartland Stairways. His exact words to me, and God love you, Dave. He said, Brad, it'll never happen. He said, these people are too proud, too involved. They don't want anybody to think that they had to go to somebody somebody else achieve something that they should have been able to do.
Mm.
Well, a lot of trial and error and learning, we now sell to a lot of stair builders. So it turned into a great success. And, again, a lot of it is about how you treat people and the customer service levels. Never wanted anybody to think that we're sitting here thinking, oh, you can't do this, but we can. And I never tried to lay that trip on anybody. Just say, I know how busy you are. We all went through COVID. We all lost skilled labor through COVID. But Heartland survived, prevailed, and we were running strong. And we thought, all we do is custom stairs. So let us help you with what we know the best. And we've been very, very careful, because the stair builders are a proud bunch. And they don't want anybody to think that someone's doing something for them. So it's all done low key, as the customer wants it done. So I feel that's one of my greatest achievements.
That's a brilliant strategy. I like that. So obviously you weren't a salesperson before you started at LJ. Did you find that challenging to step into that?
I hated salespeople, Jeff. I grew up being in the family business. I had to deal with salesmen a lot. And I always felt like, oh man, here we go. This guy's trying to get in my pocket again. And he's going to promise me this and give me that here and here. I really had a dislike for salespeople. And lo and behold, I became a salesperson, and have been now for over 36 years. And I love it today.
Well, so my wife was a teacher. And I always told her she should go into sales. And she's like, no, I hate salespeople. I hate, same thing.
Yeah,
but
right.
As a teacher, you're selling something to kids that don't want to be sold to, and it's something you can't see or touch. You're selling them knowledge. I mean, to me, teachers are amongst the greatest salespeople ever. I don't know. And clearly you've been successful.
And God bless the teachers of the United States, because people have no idea how hard they work. So actually going from teaching into sales, they'd say, man, why didn't I do this 25 years ago? So yeah, there are some good correlations. And again, back to my time with LJ Smith, that's why they wanted me, because I could find out the information that LJ wanted presented. I could study that, and then I could turn it around and present it to others. So that's basically what sales should be about. It's not trying to drive for that bottom dollar. It's first to gain acceptance and show the client that you're their guy, because if you don't know the answer right now, you know where to find it, and you make that your job in finding it quickly. So it's a hand-in-hand situation.
For sure.
Yeah, it sounds like you've got like a lot of breadth of experience within the industry because of that, looking into, all of the sort of nuances and being able to teach it and deliver these services. With that experience, what would you, what kind of advice would you give to someone who wanted to get into the industry?
Yeah, that's a good question. You don't know whether to talk them into it or talk them out of it. But again, after 36 years, and I'm still, by the way, I'll be 74 in a month and a half, and I'm at the office now. I still love what I do, and as long as I'm physically able, I'm going to keep going. But for someone coming into the business as a sales guy, and you guys have both been there, you understand that the first thing anyone has to get a hold of in their mind is that's not all a bed of roses. It's not all going to be good days. As a matter of fact, a salesperson is to peaks and valleys, I call it. I don't know how many times, and I'll use the analogy. I drove up and down the East Coast on the West Virginia Turnpike, and I'm happy to say I've survived that. But as I would get to the top of one mountain, I would think, yeah, this is like sales. I'm at the top here. I'm rocking and rolling. I just closed a big deal. And then 2 days later, I'm driving down the other side of that mountain, and I'm down in the ditch on the other side. And then I'm thinking to myself, what the hell did I get myself into? So you have to learn to deal with those highs and lows of sales. If things are clicking and rock and rolling and you close a big deal, you're on top of the world. If you run into 2 or 3 bad jobs or something horrible goes wrong with the job that you're associated with, then you're like, maybe I'm in the wrong occupation. But I'm back and I'm still here. So my word to new guys going into sales, just do the best that you can, make the best of every day. You're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days, deal with it. So, and learn to roll. You got to learn to roll with those punches, because sometimes you get knocked down. Now, I'd sent a photo or two to Jeff. My one grandson runs cross country, and cross country sport, they're big into shirts. And one of them here is, I just took this photo Saturday. Talent is a gift. Elite is a choice. Make the choice. So just little motivational things like that. Here's another.
I'm glad you explained that, Brad. I was kind of scratching my head about that.
Yeah. What do you mean by this? And earned, not given. So I think that's particularly pertinent to sales as well. You're only going to get out of it as much as you're willing to put into it. And just like a school teacher, we'll go back to that analogy. School teachers work way, way more hours than anybody gives them credit for. People tend to think that school teachers work a school hour day. Wrong. They're working on weekends. They're working through their summer vacations. They're working on days that they don't feel like working. You kind of have to do the same thing as a salesperson. And it's all about planning ahead and setting a target, and then putting it into your brain. How am I going to get there? So, and that, how am I going to get there, could be physically, what form of travel am I going to take this week? Especially, all of my experience has been on a national level. So I need to know, is it close enough that I can possibly drive it? Do I need to factor in, travel expenses for airfare, all that stuff? But you got to lay a plan out and then go after that plan.
Yeah. Right. So along those same lines, I mean, clearly you've been very successful. Any regrets?
I have to say, my only regret is how I structured my own setup. And originally that structure wasn't my choice. When I went to work for LJ Smith, the inside salespeople, and especially me as a trainer, because that was my primary job, was training two-step and one-step dealer salespeople. So there wasn't really a monetary attachment made there for a monetary gain for LJ Smith. They were trying to do groundwork with me. So I was hired on as a salary management position, and they paid me well. I had never had any regrets with that. And then I'm going to regress here a little bit, going back to my experiences. There's kind of a little bit of a joke in the industry for the people that really know me. It's kind of like, who are you working for today? So I've worked for a lot of stair parts companies, a lot, at least 6, maybe 7. So I've experienced different schools of thought on how to take the product to market and all of that. And I've learned to, at each one of them, I've learned to deal with winning, and I've learned to deal with rejection. And rejection's a tough one until you've been there and done that. And I'm also happy to say, out of the 6 major companies that I worked for in those 36 years, I've been invited back to all of them as to, hey, come back to work for us. Typically, I left for self-growth, self-improvement. And I'm happy to say my last gig here at Heartland Stairways, and I will announce right now, that'll be my last gig. I've been with Heartland now for 20 some years out of those 36. So obviously I've found a home here that I love. And, at LJ Smith, not to brag or anything, LJ had been purchased by a large company that owned a jet. So I went from traveling in an 8-passenger private jet coming to work for Heartland Stairways, traveling in a horse and buggy. So it was, I made it work. I used to tell customers, they'd say, how are you going to get my stair here? I says, oh, let's see, Cincinnati, we can have your stairs down here in 4.5 days. So once we leave the shop, I'm just kidding. Had a lot of fun with the whole Amish thing, but that they really take good care of me here, and I love everybody I work with.
Yeah.
I think I may have drifted off the question there, Jeff. So if we need to repeat the question, I'll try it again.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
No, that's good. It's interesting. You having trained, obviously, training and sales both require a lot of industry knowledge. You can't sell a product that you don't know the ins and outs of.
Amen.
Experience is it's invaluable. How do you see that the changes in the industry? Are they, with the SMA, with the kind of level of training that you're providing, how do you see things getting better in the stair industry in the next decade?
That's a good question. And the SMA is the answer. I'm a firm believer in the SMA. And one of the biggest assets that the SMA provides to all members is that it teaches you to get better at what you do through education. So everything rolls back to the educational end of it, including the members of the SMA. I just returned from a 3-day shop tour in Virginia. Excellent program. We got to meet with stair builders. We got to meet with flooring experts. We got to meet with powder coat finishers. All of this comes into play, whether your shop even does powder coat or does flooring of any kind. You get to understand how the two go hand in hand because one complements the other. So the more education any of us can get, the better we are in each of our business. And David, I know you picked that up at Oak Point.
Yeah.
It's just, it enables you to expand your horizons. And if it's something you don't choose to get into, like pre-finishing or powder coating, at least you understand what your product has to be ready for to send on to the next specialist. So the learning curve is incredible in the SMA. And the more we can visit with other people, the better off we all are.
Great.
Well, so it sounds like learning for you is an issue that has only gotten better. Are there other issues that have gotten better for you over the years?
Yeah, they've gotten better and have continued to work for me. One thing I wanted to mention and have failed to do that yet is relationship building. Anybody going into sales, I hope can learn from my experiences. And I actually did this in the family business. My dad was a great guy, loved everybody, but he was a little gruff and a little rough around the edges. And that's really where I started doing first sales. Was I was selling siding and remodeling work. So I did have to meet with customers back then, but I would have never admitted that I was a salesperson. But to me, the key of being a good salesperson is to develop relationships. And that means getting to know your customers well. And Jeff and David, I know both of you guys are doing the same thing. When you know your customers, you know their likes and their dislikes, then you can tailor your presentation to them so that you aren't offending anyone or stepping on any toes. And if you know they've got a really good sense of humor, then you save your best jokes for that visit. But if I have done anything right in my career in stair sales, it's been relationship building. And I'm happy to say that to this day, I am still personal friends with everybody that I worked with or worked for. And I have personal friends who were just customers of the companies that I worked for, that we had nothing in common other than the fact they needed stair parts. I was selling stair parts. And I still am friends with those guys today, the ones that are still alive, because, I'm getting old. So we all are. So, but I would strongly recommend developing and building relationships with other people. Let them know that you care. I use a tagline and I've sent emails to you guys. I picked it up somewhere along since I've been here at Heartland, but it really resonates in my heart. When it's all said and done, like when we're finished with this world and we're checking out, people aren't going to remember pretty much what you said. They probably won't remember what you did, but people will always remember how you made them feel. And
I love that.
I want to be that guy. It chokes me up just to say it. So I want people to remember me because I made them feel good. So that's my advice, and I'll get out of there before I start crying.
Oh, no, that's good. That's great stuff. There's definitely things, I think, you mentioned, relationships being a big part of and really, honestly, any business dynamic, whether you're in sales or it doesn't matter where you are in the company. It's relationships are a big factor, and maybe technology has improved productivity in some ways, and it's improved. Is it helping us in those areas? That remains to be seen. That could be a difficult aspect of a career. Do you see any kind of other landmines or pitfalls? Things that might become more difficult over time in the industry?
Well, in today's business with AI and all the instant response modems that are out there, communication remains one of the biggest issues. Now, communication theoretically is easier now because of all those things I just mentioned, but it's only easier if you or I decide to make that communication happen. So to me, the biggest kiss of death for now and in the future is the salesperson who does not get back to a customer in a very timely manner. And if they've asked you a question that you can't answer, tell them, don't have that answer, but I know where to get it, and find that answer quickly and get back to them quickly. So communication breakdown's a big one, especially when, because of all the modern conveniences of social media and technology, there isn't a lot of interpersonal communication. Make some interpersonal communication. Again, make those people remember who you are and that you're there to help them. So it sounds a little bit trite, but I want my customers to know that I want to be their friend. And I'm only going to be their friend if I can get them what they need when they need it. And if I can't do it, I'll send them to a competitor. Say, look, we can't do this either lead time wise, or this is not a product that we make, but let me give you a guy's name and number. To me, that goes a long way. You're showing that you aren't afraid of competition because you're going to hook your customer up with one of your competitors at the possible risk that you could lose some business there. But I think for the most part, when you make something like that happen, people are going to perceive that as a strong point. Wow, this guy just set me up with someone else, and they will remember that. Now, will you have the occasional guy that jumps and runs? Yeah, that's happened too. And I just look at it, okay, we didn't need that one. Didn't need that one. Let him go to the other ones and see how he likes it, because I want them to feel like, oh man, I'm not getting the service that I had gotten. And then those people will come back usually. And then you can decide whether you want them back. I always want them back.
Yeah, excellent points. Yeah, I completely agree. Well, it makes me think, I've had this discussion with people over the last couple of years about how sales has really changed over the last few decades. I feel like, with email and voicemail and texting, the in-person call is not nearly as important. People don't want to see you, that kind of thing. Are you finding that? And how, if so, are you dealing with it?
Yes, I am finding it, and that is somewhat disheartening to me, because that's what I enjoy the most, was walking in a builder's office, walking into an architectural firm. And when I would walk in, I didn't have just a briefcase. I would always walk in, and David, I'm sure you're familiar with all the fancy samples that you guys, I would carry. As a matter of fact, during one of my places that I landed at, I was working for a very high-end ornamental iron company that did forged ironwork. I was carrying a 97-pound display. Many times architects are on the third floor, and I would get to the third floor, no elevator. I'd get up there dripping wet with sweat, and I'd go in and put my business card down and lunk this big hunk of iron up there. And hey, I just wanted you to see this. Now, again, that's the old school in me. The old school is touch and feel. Get that product in front of the customer. Same thing with glues. Show them what it'll do in person. Now, you may or may not get an audience, but usually you go in with a nice sample or even really nice literature. I always called the front desk the gatekeepers for a sales guy. You got to know the gatekeepers, and boy, you have to get the good side right up front. And then it might be the second time, you'll be recognized. And say, oh, he's really a nice guy. Let me see what I can do. He said he's not seeing anyone, but let me just check. Let me have your brochure. They usually don't ask for a 97-pound sample, but I say all I need is just a few minutes to explain this. I promise I won't be here more than 10 minutes. And then usually a half an hour later, they're asking me questions and I'm still there. Yes.
That's a win. That's a win for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So how would you say that's changed over your career path, from early onset to today? Sort of, I guess, in closing, what would be your assessment to how things have changed from when you came into the industry to today?
That would be a big one, David. The fact that it used to be much easier to visit with a client. They've got so many opportunities to say no. They'll send you a text message back. Oh, I'd love to see you, but I'm in a meeting this day, and this day. And oh, if you're thinking of next week, yeah, that's bad too. So, but perseverance, there's a fine line between making a pest out of yourself or just asking for that order one more time. Ask for that opportunity one more time. Eventually someone's going to say, this guy's worked pretty hard. He just wants to sit down with me. And perseverance pays. So
that's great.
I was trying to think. Yeah, one thing that has become better for me, and again, it goes back to education, is learning to share good ideas that I have seen work for the company I'm with or for other companies of similar nature. Just share the ideas and say, hey, did you ever think about this? And again, anything you can do to endear yourself with that customer is going to come back to you. So.
Great.
Yeah, good advice. So is that a wrap there, David?
I believe so. It was very good discussion. It's very good to hear all of your insight. It's a lot of experience there. It's not something that I believe our audience is going to take lightly. That's
I hope not.
Well, the legends. I've been so impressed with how our Legends podcast truly has been legends. So, I think you definitely qualify in that category. That's a lot of years of experience 100%. In an industry.
Thank you. I still don't think of myself as a legend, maybe in my own mind. Yeah.
Well, regardless, your advice is timeless. Seriously, and just dead on. Good for you.
It's great.
I like it.
Great. I have nothing but respect for you guys and the fact that you are heading up a committee for the SMA. Anybody out there that's going to sit through this and listen to it, just remember the SMA can use your help. Everybody has a little area of expertise where they can help boost this organization, which in turn will boost all of our membership. And that's what we want to do.
Absolutely. Great.
Great plug.
Thank you.
All right, sir.
Thank you for joining us. Be sure to join us for the next episode of Legends, Voices Behind the Craft.